on. If you've captured a UFO, you want to report it, we'll showcase it right here at Third Phase Moon right now. But let's go to area code 319 joining us live right here. Welcome to Third Phase Moon. Who's calling and where are you calling from?
My name is Erica Getch, and I'm calling from the Midwest, guys.
Hey, Erica, welcome back to the show.
Hi.
Hey, we're talking about alien tonight.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just going to say I tuned in late because I had to reboot, so I just barely heard somebody say about the back of the moon and that there's alien bases.
Yeah, absolutely, Erica. We're pretty much going over alien abductions. People called in, the man from Virginia last week that we're trying to follow up and get the implant X-ray, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. So we're kind of going into detail about his possible alien abduction. Erica, you've apparently yourself have been in close encounters with these aliens and have been abducted yourself. Am I mistaken, or is this correct?
No, this is correct.
We're talking to Erica. She's sharing her abduction experience. If you just joined us right here on Third Phase, and basically put yourself in a setting. Iowa in a cornfield. It's at dusk, and the sun's just about to go down. And then what happens, Erica?
Basically, well, before that, I had actually seen what I thought was maybe an airplane that was keeping pace with the car. But of course, you know, as soon as I was about ready to say something to my friends, and the radio was really loud because we were all singing, you know, and the car stalls. Okay, so my attention obviously went towards, not the car, the radio went down, and we were all complaining because, you know, obviously we were singing, and then next thing you know, the car stalls on the side of the road, and we're just looking around, and we're stuck, and this is before cell phones. It was 1985. So that was in my mind. I was thinking, my God, you know, how are we going to get help? There's nobody around, you know. It was like a dirt road and just back road, you know. So to make a long story short, we saw the craft hovering above the tree line, and it looked typical saucer-shaped, had different color lights on it, and, we had a sense about us that it was like listening, you know, because, of course, we didn't think of telepathy or any kind of, we just knew. It's like you just know, and we were like, oh, whisper, whisper, you know, like they were watching, listening, something. And, for the most part, we had, like, missing time after that. It was 12 hours. I had a flashback of standing outside the next day outside of the car, my friends and I, and the sun was starting to come up, and the craft darted off. So 25 years later, I got hypnosis, and I only got it because I didn't think anything happened. I just thought, what was going on with that? My sister actually remembers when I came home the next day, and we all told her that we saw that. And she said her and the city mayor and all the neighbors had seen a craft, but way off. Just, you know, enough they could still see the colored lights, but it was clear off. There's a lot, so it was kind of like a mass sighting around town, but basically I got my hypnosis, and to make a long story short, I was encountering of course, the small little intake grays or little childlike beings, and also I had seen a tall gray off in the ship, but I didn't interact with it. And so there was some blue reptilian, maybe reptilian humanoid, or I'm not even sure, hybrid beings. And I was taken aboard the ship. Taken aboard the rest of the ship, and it kind of makes sense what somebody explained, because the ship itself, when I saw it, it wasn't any bigger it's floating above the tree line, so it was about 500 feet, and it was about the size of a large, or however you want to call it, an average size, large type house. But when I was in the exam room, it was a lot smaller, and then eventually I was allowed to walk the full ship. Now, it doesn't make sense because the ship itself, the large portion that I was in was way bigger than anything. And someone had suggested that it was probably docked into the mothership or something. So there's a lot of stuff, and I'm making it very vague right now just to get through this. But so, no. I had a hybrid that I met, and I didn't know it was mine until I started bonding with it and everything. So, but I have a lot of information that I've been working with them and everything. And it sounds insane. It really does. It sounds absolutely absurd. People will be like, oh, my gosh, she's working with...
Hold on a sec, Erica. We've heard the exact same stories over and over again. It's not people that haven't experienced it. Let me tell you, you're not alone in the United States. 4 million people claim they've been abducted every year. People are waking up. People are understanding. That's why this testimony is why people just really want to hear what's going on. I know people have some questions for you, but my first question before we get any further is, you're missing basically, I think, from dusk till dawn. So it was a 12-hour period, and then you went under hypnotic regression and found out about what happened to you during that time. But you said you weren't alone. Have you spoken with the other people and what they experienced? Where's their head at?
Well, see, now this makes it all the more difficult for me to even just get any full-on witnesses there, because I had just moved like a town or two away from where I was originally living at the time, right before the scenario went down, the major thing. And so I moved from my mom's to my dad's, and I had made new friends, and my sister recognizes that she remembers seeing the one girl that I was, like, she was my best friend at the time, but, I mean, she, it was so long ago, it was 25 years ago, and nobody ever talked about it after that, and my friends and I lost complete contact because then I basically ended up moving back with my mom. And so when I did try to get a hold of someone that I'm pretty sure it was the same person that my sister saw and everything, and I wanted to talk to her as soon as I mentioned that to her, and it was actually on Facebook. She blocked me. And, I mean, I didn't say it crazy, I didn't say, oh, hi, I haven't seen you in years. Hey, what about we were actually going to get together, talk, whatever, like, oh, gosh. And, no, she blocked me. And I still am trying since I'm trying to write the book to get my information out, I can't even find her to get any kind of collaboration on this to have her, come forward or even just privately to me. And so that is the only reason why I went to hypnosis, is to find out who I was with on that day for the sighting. And that I had no knowledge of any kind of abduction except for I had some flashbacks, flash memories and things but of course I didn't put all the pieces together at the time because I really didn't, want to go that far in my mind. I just thought, this is kind of weird stuff and what's going on. I mean, why would I be looking out the window, standing up, looking out this window of the car, but the car, you can't stand in a car, you know what I mean? So why would I be standing? This is a flash memory. I'm standing, I'm looking at the stars. It's completely dark, and I can see the stars, and I'm yelling to my friends with my face pressed up against the glass and my hand saying, my God, look at these stars. Look at all of this. It's so beautiful. No, why would I be doing that when the car, you know what I'm saying? All this stuff comes like to you as time goes on, and when you put the pieces together after, it makes perfect sense. In fact, Ricky G was somebody that I talked to more so in the beginning. And so by his encouragement, like with what he's doing, what he had to come, I mean, he went through a lot of harassment. And it's like, hey, we don't know why this and that, and nobody knows why someone's being abducted or anything. It just, you know what I mean? It's one of those things, not like we want to be picked on.
Well, we're taking Erica, I think we've just touched the tip of the iceberg here, but I think there's some people that might want to ask some questions to Erica right now. And let's go to Vince Pounds from Los Angeles. Any questions for Erica?
Wow. Well, she's triggering off some things that occurred when I was younger. And there is, I don't consider it as abduction in my case. It was more like it was a willingness thing to go through. Now, this is where it may match up with what she's talking about, is one typical night when I was like 13 years old, and I just happened to get up in the middle of the night, and I have 5 other brothers that stayed in the same room and just walked out the door. They all were asleep, and just start looking up into the sky and start observing the stars, and with excitement on my mind that they're here, and they're here to visit me and several others. And just observing the stars, they start making their movements and formations in the sky, and they start dropping out of the sky and coming down in various parts of the cities in the San Gabriel Valley area. And this was back in like 1976. And everything, my mind puts things together like, 76, the spirit of 76. And all this symbolic stuff comes to make it more memorable and understandable. And now I'm going like, to this day, there has to be others that had an experience that same night. Now, I was 13 years old. I had a paper route. And the following morning, after this whole encounter, which I'm not mentioning on this show tonight, I'll get with you in a future show about, is that I went on my paper route the next day after school. But before I went on my paper route, the papers were dropped off in front of my house. I go out, walk out to pick up the papers, bring them back to where I fold them, look at the top left-hand corner of the paper, small article, UFO seen over San Gabriel Mountains, flying over in a northeastern direction over San Gabriel Mountains. That's just the headliner. And there was a small article on the inside. Astronomers at the Griffith and Mount Wilson Observatory observe object not descending but ascending across the night skies. Now, in my experience that night, which I won't go into more detail about, that was the same direction as the craft that I was in, that we were going.
Wow, that's pretty much giving
so that was
me,
you.
bringing
really?
up some, my hair is rising on my arm right there. It's pretty a great story. I know these stories that people are listening to aren't that crazy after all. Dr. J's heard it all as well. Does this sound anything unusual that we've heard with alien abduction, Dr. J?
Absolutely not. This is all very, very consistent with what we've heard with hundreds of people that we've spoken to and the people that they've worked with. For instance, just the 3 main hypnotherapists that we worked with have worked with close to 3,000 abductees total. Yvonne Smith, Barbara Lamb, and Kathleen Martin, and also Denise Stoner. Also, I want to just throw in there, when people are seeing a craft, usually 20, 30, 45 feet in diameter, or if it's a triangle, regardless the shape, or if it's on the smaller side, the reason is those are Earth excursion vehicles, whereas the bigger ones are out there. So if someone's seeing a UFO, more than likely it's on its way to pick someone up for an abduction or drop them off after an abduction. So everything fits in line, everything has an agenda, and it seems to be like everything's falling in place right now.
Dr. J, any questions for Erica? I have one, but I'm sure you got one that you've had that you're ready to ask. Go ahead.
Erica, what types of ETs have you seen other than the standard grays?
Well, the blue reptilian, or honestly, I don't know if it's. It doesn't look typical as to a regular reptilian. So, just not even like you just take a regular, what they say a reptilian ET looks like.
You mean the light being?
Well, it would be like. I have a picture of it on my Facebook because somebody did an illustration for me, but it's kind of humanoid. Like it doesn't have a tail, so it would be wouldn't be Draco, but I don't know because honestly, I have my I actually used to post my hypnosis session, because I recorded it. I had it recorded in the doctor's office because I got it done by a professional, and I just had it recorded so that my husband could share the information. I could relate it to him. And it took, I was so embarrassed. It took me like a whole week of playing it a lot, going, gosh, I can't even believe this. And he was like, what? And I was embarrassed. I really actually asked him to leave the room because I couldn't believe what I was hearing because, as time, I got put under really good because, I have anxiety, which obviously I'm sure you guys know that, it's typical to develop an anxiety kind of social thing when, you might be taken or something, which... So I had been working with this therapist on that. Sure.
I want to ask, so you went into the hypnotic regression session and recorded it, and you'd come back and listen to the audio tapes afterwards. And what you heard, you couldn't believe what basically when...
Well, it took me through such emotions, and I felt... strange and embarrassed. Just embarrassed like, I don't know. I've been married for 21 years, and I've never been able to have children, and yet I have a hybrid. And you see, that was kind of emotional there, And it's, I don't know. It just, even if I think about it too long, even on the show, I feel flustered a little bit about it. But there was a lot of things. I have so many mixed feelings, and most of it, though, is that I miss that family of mine, that whoever, they are. I know them. I miss them. I didn't even want to go. I didn't want to leave. There was so much love there, and it's actually more of a positive connection. But I have to say, it wasn't always. There was some scary moments. So, there's good and bad mixed in it.
Well, you just put out, you have a hybrid. If you can, is the hybrid living here on Earth, or is the...
No, the hybrid, well, I had actually remote viewed on Mr. E. Strange Visitor's show, and I was just a guest, and he's a friend of mine, and I kind of remote viewed right on the show because we did I think it was, I swear, a 3 or 4 hour show. We were just hanging out, and I didn't know if I really could because, I occasionally remote view. It's just kind of like, and I don't know if this is what you call it, but I kind of saw, in a remote viewing sense, maybe psychic, I don't know. I don't even study up on that very well, so I don't know what you call it. But basically that she was surrounded, as she's kind of like an adult now, she sort of just has something going on, and there was this... I don't know.
Is there a name that they gave her?
Oh, no, I don't. There's no name that I know of. But, there was a connection, and I basically missed her in a sense. I still kind of feel that there's a connection there. So it's kind of a mystery,
Wow, as a mom, I bet you could feel a connection, and still maybe, do you think one of these days you'll, be reunited?
It wouldn't surprise me. I really don't know. It wouldn't surprise me at all, and I would actually like that. But, she could be sort of what do they call those, guardian angel kind of. Maybe she's just sort of watching me from a distance. I really don't know. Like I said, I understand the metaphysical things, but I don't really talk about it that much. Like, oh, maybe in another realm. You never know. I try to take more of a, a standard approach, because it's possible.
If area code 540 from Virginia is still with us, he believes that he's been abducted. Do you have any questions for Erica in regards to maybe your similarities?
When she was talking about Stan Romanek, I had saved it on one of my favorites on my computer, and he talked about how when he got he was kind of confused. He felt dumbfounded, like I kind of do. He kind of like, this is in denial. I guess he felt like he was in denial, like I do. But anyway, he said that he got on his computer And all of a sudden, this web page or whatever he got on come up, and it said he was supposed to be one night, supposed to have been abducted, and the government knew about it. If I remember, you remember when I talked to you last time, I told you I thought that the government was behind some of it.
Absolutely. We did, the 2013 Best Specials, and in one of them, Part 3, Dr. Greer spoke of the false flag, and he believes that the military is genetically engineering humans to look and mimic aliens, along with the technology that we already have, these anti-gravity devices to basically do this false flag alien abduction and blame it on the aliens, and then still, have our own secret government doing some nasty things that we're not sure what's going on. This is a theory that's out there.
Yeah. And also she was talking about, like, angels. I've experienced that myself. I got run a fever one time, got real sick as a kid, and I rolled over and I thought it was my mother. It touched my head, and it was something else. And to this day, I don't know who it was.
A typical out-of-body experience.
Like 14
Erica,
times.
did you witness basically the angelic type as well, or do you have any questions for us?
I had one walk up to me, and I was sick, laying on the couch, and my mother, I was on a real bad fever, but it was breaking, and she was going to take me to the doctor, and when I rolled over, I was facing the back of the couch, and I rolled over, and I was looking at the floor, because I just kind of felt bad, I felt bad, and I saw bare feet, and I thought it was my mother, and I saw purple, and I was like, kind of scarlet purple, and I was like, I thought it was maybe my mother had, maybe when she always had a dress I always liked, she had wore, it was pretty. And I thought that it was her. When I asked her about it, she said, no, son, I wasn't wearing that. And it kind of, I couldn't figure out what had happened.
Well, for me, I've only been the three, and I say three beings only because that I've been in contact with, but it's really just the blue beings, as I always, because I don't know, I sometimes I say reptilian, because there was elongated pupils, but they don't look anything like that Godzilla kind of character with the scales, So I
think they kind of bend themselves the way they want.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. It's like, but the short childlike beings, and then the taller gray, but I still don't have. I think I'm mainly, contact with the blues. So
that might be what you feel comfortable with too.
Yeah, and that was clearly what my hybrid was a product of.
I'm more comfortable with the angelic type. I don't know why, but I am. I've seen craft too. I've seen more than one.
Well, that's the thing. You have to trust your intuition, what you feel like comfortable, and definitely, what kind of contact. And, you should ask your family, if you haven't already, if they've had their own experiences.
I've had entities in the house. I've had entities in the house that's been seen. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Images. I haven't seen that's actually set down on the bed. I've got a couple pictures of some orbs. I wasn't sure if it was a camera or what. I took my camera one time and put it in the room because people kept seeing it in there, kept seeing it. So I stuck my camera in there and took a picture. And there was a picture of an orb in there.
Well, my opinion is I encourage you to find out if there is a mission. I mean, if you have a personal mission. I mean, not saying that everybody that's, contacted or, abducted has one, but I know that I have one, and I know that they told me this, and that's where, I'm making it a longer thing out of, writing about it, because there's just more. It's easier to say, but in a nutshell, I'm supposed to tell the world about the love, their love, our love, and how it all pertains, and how we have to get past the fear to get to it, because the fear is stopping us from everything.
I know earlier,
now, of course,
Erica,
this isn't like it's a big original, wow, Erica said the thing that nobody ever said before, because it's not original. But it's just that that's the way I perceived this message, and I didn't hear, they didn't, open their mouths and have the words coming to me. It was, I just know that's what they were, giving me, and it's just like in my head. I know what, I mean, at the time, you know. I suppose it's telepathic. And, of course, that puts me out there to look like an idiot and a weirdo. But, you know, this is something I agreed to, and I understand it now, and it took some time. It took, you know, a couple of years for me to, it's been like about 2 years, you guys, since maybe even 3. Time's been going by really quick. Like this whole year is almost gone already. So maybe it's been 3 years since I went and got hypnosis. So I'm still fairly new to everything, but you know, I'm just like putting myself out there. You know.
Well, you're speaking earlier about your telepathic, you know, being connection with these guys, and your. You know, you felt sorry for J-Rod, and Dr. J. Andy Elias brought in, you know, Ron Gardner and the Ron Birch story right there from Area 51, Dan Birch, excuse me, and then that whole thing went quite viral. We got a few minutes, and I wanted to ask you, why do you think, what was your affiliation with J-Rod? Because you felt sorry for him, and you know that he's back home, right, and he went back through a Stargate?
Yeah, I guess I just feel sorry for the fact that, I don't know if it's feeling sorry, that's the right word. There's so much emotions that was, you know, connected to that. It's just, I mean, he was there, and I don't know, wasn't it where he had to, I mean, it's pretty much because of Dan that he got to go back, wasn't it?
Dr. J?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Dan Burrish developed a relationship with this being over time, and each time that the people who were monitoring him, the military officers, saw that Mr. Burrish or Dr. Burrish was communicating with them, they would zap him and threaten him. But ultimately, there was this meeting with 3 species, 2 of them looking like they were humans. One was a Pleiadian, another was a Nordic, the other was this one, which came from Zeta Reticula the Gray. And during this meeting, it happened near a Stargate where the other 2 beings came in. And since they can't breathe our air, they had to be in what he called carriages, where essentially they were glass, giant glass tubes that they were fit in, that they were standing in, and they'd be rolled around like a wheelbarrow or something along the lines of that, and then stood up so they could talk. During that meeting or treaty meeting, Dr. Burrish pushed J-Rod into the Stargate so he can go back home. The next thing he remembers was being knocked about 15, 20 feet away with machine guns being cocked and pointed at him, and then getting hit by the butt of the gun. So they were clearly upset at him for giving away J-Rod or sending him home. But yes, J-Rod is safely home.
Yeah, and I'm glad for that, but I just feel sorry that we were, as a human race, were represented in that way towards J-Rod and his kind, because that was ugly, and it's so horrible the way that the people who are representing, the powers that be, I don't care what you call them, it's wrong, and it's like, you know, people like us, we are all of the people.
The reason why J-Rod was treated so horribly, unlike other ETs who walk around the Pentagon openly, was apparently, according to Dr. Burrish's words, was that J-Rod was a spy, and that's why he was kept in captivity. Now, can we confirm that? No, but that's what he said. That's why he was treated less fair than any other ET that we have on Earth.
Yeah, well, you know, I wonder about that because, I mean, what makes them a spy? Look, there's so many people that are quote-unquote terrorists. You know, it's almost like it's a perfect little excuse, and I honestly, I'm just going to say it, I don't buy it. I think that J-Rod was just, he wasn't down with what their little deal was, you know. He didn't want to do their dirty stuff or whatever, and, you know, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me, but again, I don't have any proof.
The J-Rod story, we did 3 interviews. They went viral on Third Phase of Moon. Everybody take a look at those. The information was vast. It was furious and quite where we're getting, videos and photographs of basically the genitalia of what these aliens look like is the first time of, insight of what's going on. Actually, we're going to stick around a little longer. We just went kind of on an explosion. We're getting people just calling in. It just doubled on the online users. We're going to go for a few more minutes. Everybody just stay on line. Wow, it's just going. Call into 347-934-0378. We're going to try and get to everybody. The subject matter right now is the J-Rod theory and the whole aspect, but we're going to do an extended version. I think we got about another 15 to 20 minutes left, so we're going to try and pull it out. Let's go to this somebody that just joined us. Area code 111's with us.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Jim, and I just want to say that when I was younger, my grandfather he was in the Army during World War II, and he swears that he was actually in the Battle of Los Angeles, and he swears that those were not weather ships; those were actually alien ships. And he told me he saw one of the aliens, and he swore to me. And this is a little bit before he died. He swore to me that there were some from space.
Well, that will
Well, doesn't that sound really hefty on you there, buddy?
Okay, maybe we shouldn't stick around. We're not exactly sure. Let's go with...
then that's the thing. You know what? Let's face it. Wow, people making the effort like that. It's amazing that they make the effort, and they really could have used it for so much more.
Absolutely. Wow. Just, I don't know what's going on, but it is exploding right here. Let's go to area code 207. Welcome to Third Phase of Moon. Thanks for calling. Where are you calling from, and who's speaking?
I'm calling from Maine. My name is Max.
Hey, Max, do
aliens really do blood stuff to you? Is that true?
Pardon me? Go ahead, Max.
We couldn't hear you.
Do you have a
Do they probe your butt?
No, they don't. Just yours, though.
Okay. Well, I think basically what's going on is a hack attack, my opinion. I'm not exactly sure.
I find it funny. I mean, and that's the thing people think, I'm going to get to them. I'm going to try to get to... Really? It's funny, too. I mean, that stuff is funny. I'll contact you, and it's still funny as hell. People just don't get it. I don't care. I can laugh harder at myself, harder at all the things around like that. It is funny. That stuff is funny, but, I mean, really, to actually have taking the moment out like this, I mean, that's a little silly, but...
Editing all this out in case maybe there's
Hello?
so many that in. 011, you're on Third Phase of Moon Live. We're going to censor right now. We're on kind of a radio standard... Hello, you're live, Third Phase of Moon. Go ahead. Erica?
Hi. I just saw a UFO. It looked kind of like a dick.
Well, at least you get to see one finally. You don't look in your pants and you won't see nothing. So, hey, good for you.
Wow. I think we're just...
That's the only place you're going to see one. I mean, I'm just saying, I probably got a bigger one than him, and I'm not even...
I think what happened was basically Third Phase of Moon hack attack, which is quite interesting. It was quite entertaining, but I was pretty cool that how we had this first Third Phase of Moon episode, the first panel, absolutely fantastic. We're gonna be posting that up on Third Phase of Moon. I want to go back to everybody and give everybody their last words. Right here at Third Phase Moon. We got a few minutes left. Joe from Virginia, thanks for calling in. What do you got to say about tonight's radio show? Go ahead.
Did one guy call in and use the N-word?
Yes.
You kidding me? See, that's what's wrong with this planet right now. They need to let go of the hate. That's what's wrong with this planet.
I agree with you.
It's destroying us. It's destroying our way of living.
Go ahead, Joe.
That's why we have so many laws.
Primitive.
It's just crazy. If you can't say that good, don't say it.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not going to stop us from talking about this.
No,
you know what?
Not.
Most of the people that do that, they're actually scared.
He's got the brain of a 3-year-old. He needs to
Yeah,
watch.
you know what? They're actually afraid. Like, they hear something that sounds like it resonates with them, and they go, oh, I'm going to have to call in and make fun of it. Because they're afraid. They're really showing how scared they are of their own shadow, in a way.
Somebody just chimed in on the flash chat and said it was an attempt for a cover-up. Just to, that's, people just want to go out there.
It could be somebody just calling in to mess with your channel, too, because something's going out that they want to try to stop.
Do you think
Sorry, I had to quick comeback on that one dude with the pants and because,
Wow. I can think of better things to do, I think.
There was a lot of people that called in, and it was a sophisticated, call-in, sophisticated online user flash chat that just came in so fast. There was a design. It wasn't just one. So I think a lot of this isn't just little children behind the scenes doing it. I think there's 40 calls in less than 1 minute. There's something going on. That
was a lot. That was a quick, drive-by, real quick.
Yeah.
So, the word's going to get out. We're going to get it out on Third Phase of the Moon. Dave, what do you think of tonight's show? And everything else in the beginning was just incredible.
Telling me? Oh, that was great. I mean, the girl that I was talking to earlier, she sounded like she's really had something happening to her. Because I've experienced close to death. I've left my body. I've almost died like 14 times. And I don't know why I'm still hanging around, but I'm still here.
I just want to remind everyone, listen to Revolution Radio, Third Phase of the Moon Radio, Thursdays, 8 to 10 Eastern Time at freedomslips.com.
Dr. J, thanks for joining us, and we will be at the Freedom Slips radio show. And, again, Erica, thanks again for sharing this, touchful story. You gave a really big insight. People are going to appreciate it around the world. They've shared similar experiences. Go ahead, Erica.
Well, thanks, everybody, and I appreciate it. Like I said, they're not going to stop us no matter how much, someone's scared. It's obvious when anyone listens to somebody that, say, calls in and heckles. I mean, that becomes an obvious, hey, I'm afraid of my shadow kind of thing, and it's really not becoming for them, but, it's not hurting us, and that's the funny thing is because a lot of it's funny. I mean, they always talk about probing, blah, blah, blah. I never got, hey, where was mine? It doesn't matter. It's just this is what happens, and this is where we have to deal with what is going down, and we can't ignore it anymore. And I'm glad you guys have this show, and, I'll be hanging around here and there and, doing my thing, so I'm not stopping.
Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, I just want to say you guys can find me on Facebook. Go Erica Getch. Just find me there, please.
Check out Erica Getch on Facebook. She's got something to tell you. Absolutely appreciate words, Erica. If anybody out there has captured anything amazing in regards to UFOs, you could contact Third Phase of Moon via Skype or Facebook. My name is Blake Cousins, and we'll see everybody again next time. Keep your eyes on the skies, everybody.
Well, before that, I had actually seen what I thought was maybe an airplane that was keeping pace with the car, but of course, as soon as I was about ready to say something to my friends, and the radio was really loud because we were all singing, and the car stalls. Okay, so my attention obviously went towards, not the car, the radio went down, and we were all complaining because, obviously we were singing, and then next thing you know, the car stalls on the side of the road, and we're just looking around, and we're stuck, and this is before cell phones. It was 1985. So that was in my mind. I was thinking, my God, how are we going to get help? There's nobody around. It was like a dirt road and just back road, So to make a long story short, we saw the craft hovering above the tree line, and it looked typical saucer-shaped, had different color lights on it, and, I mean, we had a sense about us that it was like listening, because, of course, we didn't think of telepathy or any kind of, we just knew. It's like you just know, and we were like, oh, whisper, whisper, like they were watching, listening, something. And I was taken aboard the ship. Taken aboard the rest of the ship. And it kind of makes sense what somebody explained, because the ship itself, when I saw it, it wasn't any bigger it's floating above the tree line. So it was about 500 feet, and it was about the size of a large, or however you want to call it, an average size, large type house. But when I was in the exam room, it was a lot smaller, and then eventually I was allowed to walk the full ship. Now, it doesn't make sense because the ship itself, the large portion that I was in, was way bigger than anything, and someone had suggested that it was probably docked into the mothership or something. So there's a lot of stuff, and I'm making it very vague right now just to get through this. But I had a hybrid that I met, and I didn't know it was mine until I started bonding with it and everything. So, but I have a lot of information that I've been working with them and everything, and it sounds insane. It really does. It sounds absolutely absurd. For the most part, we had missing time after that. It was 12 hours. I had a flashback of standing outside the next day outside of the car, my friends and I, and the sun was starting to come up, and the craft darted off. So 25 years later, I got hypnosis, and I only got it because I didn't think anything happened. I just thought, what was going on with that? My sister actually remembers when I came home the next day, and we all told her that we saw that. And she said her and the city mayor and all the neighbors had seen a craft, but way off. Just, enough they could still see the colored lights, but it was clear off. There's a lot, so it was kind of like a mass sighting around town, but basically I got my hypnosis, and to make a long story short, I was encountering of course, the small little intake grays, or little childlike beings, and also I had seen a tall gray off in the ship, but I didn't interact with it. And so there was some blue reptilian, maybe reptilian humanoid, I'm not even sure, hybrid beings.
If you've captured a UFO, you want to report it, we'll showcase it right here at Third Phase Moon right now. But let's go to area code 319 joining us live right here. Welcome to Third Phase Moon. Who's calling, and where are you calling from?
My name is Erica Getch, and I'm calling from the Midwest, guys.
Hey, Erica, welcome back to the show.
Hi.
Hey, we're talking about alien tonight.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just going to say I tuned in late because I had to reboot, so I just barely heard somebody say about the back of the moon and that there's alien bases.
Yeah, absolutely, Erica. We're pretty much going over alien abductions. People called in, the man from Virginia last week, that we're trying to follow up and get the implant X-ray, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. So we're kind of going into detail about his possible alien abduction. Erica, you've apparently yourself have been in close encounters with these aliens and been abducted yourself. Am I mistaken, or is this correct?
No, this is correct.
We're talking to Erica. She's sharing her abduction experience. If you just joined us right here on Third Phase, and basically put yourself in a setting. Iowa, in a cornfield. It's at dusk, and the sun's just about to go down. And then what happens, Erica?
People will be like, "Oh my gosh, she's working with."
Hold on a sec, Erica. We've
Sure.
we've heard the exact same stories over and over again. It's not people that haven't experienced it. Let me tell you, you're not alone in the United States. 4 million people claim they've been abducted every year. People are waking up. People are understanding. That's why this testimony is why people just really want to hear what's going on. I know people have some questions for you, but my first question before we get any further is, you're missing basically, I think, from dusk till dawn. So it was a 12-hour period, and then you went under hypnotic regression and found out about what happened to you during that time. But you said you weren't alone. Have you spoken with the other people and what they experienced? Where's their head at?
Well, see, now this makes it all the more difficult for me to even just get any full-on witnesses there, because I had just moved like a town or two away from where I was originally living at the time, right before the scenario went down, the major thing. And so I moved from my mom's to my dad's, and I had made new friends, and my sister recognizes that she remembers seeing